What's up, guys, and welcome to the beginner boxing course. Before we go into the rest of the course, which is the footwork, the punches, everything that you need to know when it comes to boxing as a beginner, we're going to go into the equipment that you need when you start boxing. The stuff that you might need to get before you go to your boxing class or your boxing one-to-one with your trainer, whether it's in the gym, outdoors, in the park. You're gonna need some equipment with you when you go to your boxing session. So I'm gonna go through some of the equipment you need. I'm gonna go through it quite quick. The first piece of equipment I recommend that you get is a pair of boxing trainers. Okay, this here is not just for fashion. I know it looks kind of cool and that, but this is gonna protect your ankles. You see, this goes over your ankles. A lot of people, they like to wear running trainers when they're training and stuff like that, which is fine. But if you roll an ankle, if you're on your toes, you're moving around in boxing, which we do quite a bit, you possibly might be able to twist your ankle. This helps you protect you. It makes you feel sturdy. It's also very light, so you can get on your toes and you can bounce and you can move faster. Running trainers can be a bit bulky sometimes and get in the way, so I recommend this as the first piece of equipment to get is a pair of boxing trainers. The next piece is going to be to protect these. These are what you're going to be using all the time when you're boxing. We're doing boxing. It's not kickboxing, it's boxing. So our hands are very important, and you're putting so much power into your hands, into your punches, that this is going to obviously take a lot of trauma. And there's so many little bones in our hands that we're not aware of. So many little ligaments, little things going on in our bones and stuff in our hands, and we need to protect them. We need to hold them in place. That's the main part, is holding them in place underneath the glove. You could just put your gloves on and start hitting, but nothing is holding your bones in place, and that is an issue. So the first thing we're going to use to wrap is hand wraps. Okay, you see I got a pair of white hand wraps here, and all you do is you basically, I'll do a tutorial on it eventually, but you wrap your hands around your wrists, around your knuckles, a little bit around your thumb, and you're just wrapping all the small parts in your hand, protecting the bones and the ligaments from any damage. Yeah, so you want it nice and secured. You want to feel like your hand's secured once you get your hand wraps on. All right, so when you've got your hand wraps on, you then get your boxing gloves. So those two, your boxing shoes, your hand wraps, and your boxing gloves. All right, these three pieces of equipment are the main pieces of equipment that you need when you start boxing. When you go to your first one-to-one boxing class or your boxing session in the park, wherever it might be, you need trainers, your boxing shoes, your hand wraps, and a pair of boxing gloves. These boxing gloves here are 12 ounce boxing gloves, so they're kind of small. So this is my recommendation. If you're going to be doing a lot of pad work with your trainer, let's say some people only train in a park, right? You want to get yourself a pair of 12 ounce boxing gloves for pad work, because when you're doing pad work, you kind of letting your hands go and it's not too much power, and yeah, you're doing a lot of pad work, so it's a better size. 16 ounce is better for like bag work. If you're doing a lot of heavy bag work, you hit the bag a lot, you put a lot of power into your shots, I recommend you get in 16 ounce gloves. 16 ounce gloves are a little bit bigger, and you would use them also for sparring. So when you're sparring with someone, you're sparring with your coach, you're sparring with another student, you're going to need a bigger pair of gloves. I do not like seeing people using small gloves when they're sparring. It's ridiculous. You have to get yourself 16 ounce gloves if you're sparring. Do not spar, and also if someone else is sparring with you and they're wearing 10 ounce gloves, you got to tell them, where's your 16s? Because if you're not wearing 16s, we're not sparring. All right, so these are 12 ounce gloves, and like I said, you'd use them more for pad work. You can even hit the bag with them too, but preferably you'd want to use different size gloves for different different things that you're doing. All right, you could use 14 is a good balance. So if you're using 14 ounce for the bag and the pads, that's a good balance. All right, and obviously talking about sparring, we need protection for sparring as well. So when you're sparring, you've got I haven't got one with me here, but you've got like a groin guard. So you wear a groin guard around your groin area to protect you from low blows. I mean, we put a lot of power in our shots when we go to the body, right? We perfect it every day and day out, hit into the body. Imagine if it slips low and you're not protected, it's going to be quite a big problem. And you know, the last thing you want is serious injury. So always wear a groin guard if you're sparring. That's my #1 recommendation if you're sparring. I do not like seeing people sparring without a groin guard. It doesn't make sense to me. We need protection for our teeth. Very, very important. You would regret it. Even if you're doing technical work, you might not be sparring, you might be doing technique work, all right? Partner work, partner drills. Wear a mouth guard. Wear a mouth guard sometimes even if you're on the bag alone and just so you can get used to breathing with a mouth guard in. A lot of people, when they first put a mouth guard in, they find it makes them gag a bit, but that's because you're just not used to it. You need to get used to wearing a mouth guard regular, and then it starts to become second nature to you. Get one that fits your mouth as well. That might be another reason why you gag. So if it's too big, it's not your size. Make sure you pick the right size mouth guard. Very easy to use. You just put it in hot water, let it dissolve for about a minute or so. It gets really soft. Then you mold it around your teeth, bite into it, run it under cold water, and then you've got your mouthpiece solid, set foundation, set shape for it. Very important to have. Make sure you get yourself one. They're very cheap. All right. So after the mouth guard, if you're sparring, like I said, very important you get yourself a head guard. The head guard is gonna not just protect you from punches. This is not what it's made for. It's not made to protect you from punches only. It stops you getting cut. So if someone bangs head with you when you're sparring, if an elbow flies, like some YouTubers, they like to use their elbows when they're boxing, you know, like the world's changing boxing, I tell you. You need one of these. These are gonna protect you from weird things that can happen in boxing, all right? Especially headbutts. You get cuts and stuff. You do not want that, especially if you're on an office job or something. You don't want to go into work with cuts and stuff. This is a full face mouth guard, so it's got protection on the face there. I personally don't like these ones because they kind of block your vision. A lot of people don't like them. Some people like them, but yeah, you can't really see punches that come up from this angle, so like uppercuts and stuff. But you got like open face ones which have them without, and they're open faced. So it just depends on your preference. Get the size that works for you. This one's a medium, but there's different sizes. And these are very important. You know, if you bang your head, if you do, let's say by accident or something happens, you get dropped and you hit your head off the canvas. Ideally, you should be sparring in a ring. But if you hit your head off the canvas, or if you're in a park, you hit your head off the grass, this is going to protect you. It's going to protect your head, all right? But you should be sparring in a ring if you are sparring. So yeah, head guard is very important if you're sparring, very important. You don't really need it for technical work because you shouldn't be throwing power shots at each other if you're doing technical work. Okay, so apart from that, that's like the main stuff you need if you're a beginner going into boxing. Apart from like the head guard and a mouth guard, you don't really need that, and a groin guard, you don't really need that if you're just starting boxing. But you do need a pair of boxing shoes, hand wraps and gloves. Those 3 pieces of equipment are the main pieces when you're starting out as a beginner. And obviously you just need some comfortable clothing, shorts, a vest, and that'll be it, and then you're ready to go. The rest of this this course is going to show you what you need to know knowledge wise. Now we've got the physical part out the way, so stay tuned. Peace.